Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Vikram Mukherjee, and today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about my experience at the University of Pittsburgh, year by year, and to share my reflections on freshman year at Pitt was a mix of a ton of new experiences. Coming out of high school, I knew I wanted to go to college at a place that had a neuroscience major, as well as a place for me to practice my Spanish as well in hopes of becoming a physician and eventually moving into Pittsburgh and settling into dorm life was both exciting but extremely nerve-wracking as well. And I remember exploring the campus and the city to find my way around. This all started in the August of 2016 when I joined the summer program called Pitt Pass. And at Pitt Pass, we were able to take a general first year course as well as a gen ed and then an English class. And it was really through this program that I got my bearing towards Oakland, but I felt at that point that I didn't make really my true friends. And being in Tower A was one of the best experiences of my freshman year. It was a great opportunity to meet people from so many different floors and to really connect to the Pitt experience, literally being right in the center of everything. Some classes I took my freshman year included Biology 2, since I was able to test out of Biology 1, Chemistry 1, Chemistry 2, and I was able to start on my Spanish courses while taking a various amount of other courses in things like anthropology, philosophy, and other interests that I would pursue later on in college. When it came to making friends my freshman year, it was definitely difficult. I definitely remember having a hard time choosing which group I thought I could fit into. Eventually, with my girlfriend, now turned fiance, joining a Bollywood dance team and being able to be exposed to a lot of other South Asian students on campus, I felt like I really found my niche by making friends with other South Asian students and seeing which students were in my coursework. Luckily, since I was in a lot of the pre-med courses, there are plenty of South Asians, and the friends I made my freshman year in Chemistry 1, Chemistry 2, and Biology are still some of my best friends to this day. In terms of extracurriculars, my freshman year, I wanted to do everything. I got started early by joining a research lab. In my freshman year, I knew I wanted to get involved with a ton of extracurriculars. I joined a research lab that looked as to how hamsters pass on sort of different vocalizations from parents to offsprings. And that was a great sort of first year experience in research, but I knew it was not something I wanted to do for the rest of my time at Pitt. I also was able to join Pitt Sangeet, I was also able to join Pitt Sangeet, and Pitt Sangeet was a newly established classical Indian music organization on campus. And it was through there that I was able to get a lot of exposure to Carnatic music and able to jam with a ton of different musicians while being a freshman. Some of my fondest memories of that year were performing with my friends. Unfortunately, during my second semester of my freshman year, both of my grandfathers passed away within 1 week of each other. And having that adjustment while in college is not something people talk about that readily. And for me, that was my first experience of having a death that close in my family. So it was definitely a struggle. During my spring semester, I had some of the worst grades that I ever had during my college career. But needless to say, if you are experiencing that or if you are going through some loss, first off, my condolences to you. But secondly, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Towards the end of my freshman year, two major things happened. As I said previously, both my grandfathers passed away, and that made the year extremely difficult emotionally. Thus, I was not able to give my all to all my classes. General Chemistry 2 was something I really struggled with, and unfortunately, I earned a D in that class, which would not be good enough for the pre-medical requisites. So I had to retake the class during the summer, and through that experience, I was able to spend a lot more time getting adjusted to Pittsburgh during that summer, despite feeling lost after failing the class. And secondly, on the positive side, towards the end of my freshman year, I decided to do the RA interview process. And the RA interview process, meaning resident assistant interview process, is extremely arduous at Pitt. I remember there being 3 different rounds of interviews, and for each of those rounds, you really had to show how well you were able to communicate as well as network, and it was one of the most challenging experiences I probably had at Pitt. But luckily, I was able to make it through those interviews, and I eventually got placed as an RA on upper campus in Panther Hall for my sophomore year. Sophomore year was exciting because I really felt like I had found my groove. During that summer, I was able to make a lot of new friends, and I was also able to figure out places on campus that I liked to go to, whether it be new food or new places to hang out. During the first semester of my sophomore year, I was also able to declare my major as neuroscience. I started to take 2 courses, one being Organic Chemistry 1 and the other being Introduction to Neuroscience. And these classes were really sort of important in terms of pre-medical requisite courses. And they really helped solidify my interest in doing both pre-med as well as neuroscience. Socially, during my sophomore year, is when I really started to make strong relationships with my friends. Sophomore year was really difficult and academically challenging. Friends on upper campus talking about organic chemistry or neuro, and despite missing out on holidays such as Halloween or St. Patty's Day, we still made studying fun. Needless to say, we also had plenty of fun going out in many other ways. Being a resident assistant my sophomore year was very challenging. As I said previously, I got placed as a resident assistant on upper campus, specifically in Pennsylvania Hall, which I believe is now referred to as Irvis, and I was also assigned to be a resident assistant of other sophomores and juniors. So with that being said, I really had to find a way to both relate to my residents as their friend, but also to be able to establish leadership on my floor. And this was definitely a huge growing experience because a lot of the other resident assistants that I worked with at that time were very experienced, and I did not have that experience. So I definitely had to learn, in some ways more uglier than others, how to represent myself well and how to... The spring and summer of my sophomore year were really challenging. I took organic chemistry as well as Intro to Synaptic Transmission, which were, again, 2 courses for both pre-med as well as neuroscience. Orgo-chemistry 2, let's just say, that did not go that well. I ended up also having to retake that during the summer. Having to retake organic chemistry 2 was definitely a blessing in disguise. During the spring semester of my sophomore year, I was able to get involved in some really cool research at the Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh, and I also got offered a position to work in that lab part-time during the summer and get paid for it. I was also able to retake the course, and I ended up having one of the best organic chemistry teachers at Pitt. Shout out to you, Dr. Bandick, if you're watching, whom I was also able to get a letter of recommendation from when I went to apply for medical school. And I also able to learn the information in a way that facilitated more my learning style. I started my junior year in the fall of 2018. And I felt at that point that I had gotten over the hump of some very difficult classes, more specifically like your Gen Chem, Gen Bio, and your Orgo courses, and was finally ready to tackle some more interesting coursework. Academically that year, I took a lot more neuro classes, and I was able to finish my Spanish minor, and for that I took 2 really interesting courses. One talking about sort of different social structures within the Spanish-speaking world, and the other being a medical Spanish course, which I'm really happy that I took, because even to this day there are definitely words that I would not have known other than the fact that I took that course. Extracurricularly during my junior year is when I felt that I was definitely taking up more responsibilities in terms of leadership. I became president of the club Pitt Sangeet and was able to further a lot of my own initiatives. And one thing that I did not mention that I would like to take time to mention is throughout my time at Pitt, I was able to take a 1-credit Tabla course, which was taught by my current guru, Pandit Shamir Chatterjee. And he was one of the major reasons why I chose to go to the University of Pittsburgh. And in that 1-credit course that we had together, we were able to spend a lot of time refining concepts, going over compositions, and he was able to come to Pittsburgh to really take a good look at my hands and how they were progressing during my college years. Without those times with him, I would definitely not be the tabla player that I am today. And it was in that process that I wanted to take tabla very seriously. Aside from music, one other amazing opportunity that I got involved in during my junior year was that of the Birmingham Free Clinic. During my junior year, I had the opportunity to interview with a couple of medical students and to conduct a Spanish conversation test. And the Spanish conversation test, by passing it, I was allowed to become a Spanish, or rather a medical translator at the Birmingham Free Clinic, which traditionally serves underserved people in Pittsburgh. And it was really in this experience that I solidified my want to go to medical school, as well as my interest in serving underserved populations, which I hope to do more in the future. Socially, junior year is a big one. I felt like during freshman and sophomore year, we we're definitely looking, for the next party or going to house parties, but with the advent of turning 21 that year, it meant going out to bars and being able to explore the city in its full capacity. And I definitely felt that turning 21 that year and having that opportunity to go out to bars and party and live that, quote unquote college experience tightened the bonds that I had with my friends. And we definitely had our fair share of crazy nights, but these nights are nights that I still laugh about to this day, and nights I would never trade for the world. My junior year is really when my relationship, I felt, started to actually progress. My girlfriend and my current fiance, we've been dating since high school. So we definitely, at that point, went through a lot of different challenges of navigating sort of the beginning of college. And luckily, both of us at that point had found sort of our footing. And I felt also that year, with the majority of the prerequisites out of the way, we were able to really give Pittsburgh the chance that it deserves. We would often be going to Noodlehead or going to Southside or checking out, different opportunities in the city. And I really felt that junior year was a big year in terms of being able to explore all those different things. During the summer of my junior year, I had to take one of the most dreaded exams for every pre-med student, and that was the MCAT. And during the studying period that I had for my MCAT, I knew I wanted to be in a place closer to family, as well as in a place where I could further my interest in tabla. So I actually moved in with my grandma, who I call Oa, in New Jersey, and I studied for my MCAT there, and on the weekends I was able to go to different places like New York City or Philadelphia with my friends. And during the weekdays, I primarily studied for that. I began senior year in August of 2019 and took my MCAT that September. Senior year, I again moved to a different place on campus, and this time, rather than being a resident assistant, I became a community assistant. Sort of just backing up a little bit, towards the end of my junior year, I was able to apply to a leadership position within residence life, and that was the opportunity to become a community assistant, which practically meant that I would live in apartment-style living with athletes and gear my RA programming towards the need of athletes on my floor. Luckily, I had some experience with that as a sophomore and junior RA, but my senior year, I was really able to put that to the test. So I moved to Bridge on Forbes, where I was pretty much a community assistant for a group of 30 amazing residents. Academically, my senior year was honestly really fun. I was able to take a lot of the specialty neuroscience classes, mostly neuroanatomy, as well as speaking of neuroscience, and I was able to pursue my capstone research project, which I again did at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, where I was able to look at congenital heart disease and its impact on neonatal brain development by looking at different MRI scans and segmenting them in a way to look at brain volume. One thing I look back most fondly about senior year, that was definitely the social aspect. Hemingway's at that point practically became my middle name. I remember that my friends and I would always be there, pretty much Thursday through Saturday for the drink specials, for the pitchers. I remember having the best nights there. I entered my spring semester of senior year in 2020, ready and excited to graduate. Little did I know, graduation would not look as how I pictured it in my mind. During March of 2020, as you all know, we had the global pandemic, and at that time, my friends and I were in Cancun for a spring break trip. And I remember being on the catamaran with my friends, having a great time, receiving an email saying that school's out. And at the time, we only thought it was for 2 weeks. but it turned out to be well more than that. So during March of that year, I actually moved back home to central Pennsylvania to live with my parents and my brother, and we finished classes from there. It was nice because a lot of my high school friends at the time also moved back home, so we were able to do socially distant gatherings, and I was able to spend a lot of time with my family. But definitely do not get me wrong, having to miss out on graduation sucked. Looking back at my time at Pitt, I can definitely say it was transformative. I definitely would not be the person I am today without the experience I had at Pitt. Each year brought its own set of challenges as well as triumphs, and I grew so much academically, socially, and personally. These experiences I had and the people I met changed me in ways that I never expected. For anyone out there about to embark on the college journey or even considering Pitt, I hope you enjoyed hearing about my experiences, and I'm definitely open for you to DM me or reach out to me if you have any questions. My advice to you is to get involved, seek out in opportunities that are in alignment with your own interests, and don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. I truly believe college is what you make of it, and Pitt has all the resources you need to make it an unforgettable journey. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed hearing about my experiences at the University of Pittsburgh. If you have any questions or want to share your own experiences, I would love to hear about it in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Hail to Pitt!